Okay, so this is the review for the test answer key, and I could probably guarantee this is going to be at least 30 minutes or so long. So you're going to want to, watch what you need to watch and then fast forward what you need to fast forward, whatever it might be. Okay, so I'm going to go through all of these. You definitely want to have your calculator because we'll do some stuff on the calculator. So I'm just going to pull this calculator up. I'm going to clear the RAM, and then I'm going to start with the review. Um, let's see here. I probably should have done this before. I apologize. Let's get this going. So now we're probably just going to waste about, I don't know, a few seconds here. So whoopsie, I don't want to be there. So second, plus sign, choice 7, enter, and choice 2. So I've cleared everything up. I'm going to go back here, clear all this, and let's get started. Alrighty, you need to pay very careful attention to the instructions. You need to know whether you're simplifying something, whether you're solving something, whether you're factoring something, factoring completely, etc. Okay, so one of the big things for this quiz, or this test, I should say, on Friday is really going to be, have I read what it's asking me to do? Did I do that? Okay, remember the Regents is just as much about literacy and reading and understanding, reading comprehension, as it is about the math. So expressed as a single fraction in lowest terms. Well, if I'm trying to add fractions together, I better get common denominators. In this case, my common denominator is 6, which becomes 3x plus 4x all over 6, or 7x over 6, and the answer is choice 2. For which value of x is the expression undefined? Undefined means I can never divide by a 0. Well, if I set the denominator equal to 0, no need to factor it, just solve. The number 9, choice 4, is going to make my denominator equal to 0. Another one about being undefined. Which value of x is going to make this fraction be undefined? Well, remember, I can never divide by 0. So if I add 6 to both sides for this denominator, when I set it equal to 0, 2x is 6. Divide off the 2, x is 3. So 3, choice 3, is going to make my fraction undefined. Number 4, again, expressed as a single fraction. Well, let's get common denominators. My common denominator is going to be a 4. If I multiply the first fraction by 2, I get 8x. Don't need to do anything to the second fraction. 8x minus 5x, 3x over 4. Nothing to simplify, choice 4. Expressed as a single fraction in lowest terms. Again, I need to get a common denominator, which should be 10y. If I multiply the first fraction by 5, I get 5y minus 20. If I multiply the second fraction by 2, I get plus 6y minus 10. All I need to do here is combine some like terms. Bring this thing up a little bit. So 5y plus 6y is 11y. Negative 20, negative 10 is 30. Put that in parentheses. All over 10y. I cannot factor anything in that numerator. It's 11y minus 30 over 10y, and that's choice 1. Number 6, when is this expression undefined? Well, I just take my denominator and I say, well, what happens when I set that factor equal to 0? What happens when I set this factor equal to 0? By solving this and adding 2 to both sides, by subtracting 3 on both sides, it's going to be either 2 or negative 3, which is going to make my fraction not work. This one, it might be hard to see, but it's a division problem. So I need to divide, which is keep, change, flip. I'm able to factor my numerator of fraction 1. Don't need to do anything with denominator. Don't forget I have to flip. I got to multiply by the reciprocal. And then here, when I do that, I can say x minus 5 and x minus 5 can go away. I'm going to do a little bit of cross canceling because I can. 14 goes into itself once. 14 goes into 28 twice. What's left over is this monomial outside that binomial. This is choice 4. Expressed as a fraction in lowest terms, x cannot be equal to 2 or negative 2. They're just showing you the restrictions here, so we don't need to worry about anything. But the numerator is an IM, in which it's x minus 2, x plus 1. The denominator is dots, x minus 2, x plus 2. These guys go away. Final answer is right here, which happens to be choice 4, x plus 1 over x plus 2. Number 9, what's the least common denominator? So my least common denominator, I'm dealing with the 2, a 7x, and an x. 2, 7x, and x. Well, right now, this guy is missing the 7 and the x. This guy is missing a 2. This guy is missing the 7 and the 2. All of them now total 14x. My least common denominator, 14x. Simplify. My top right here is going to be able to be IM'd. It's x plus 5, x plus 1. My bottom is dots, plus 5, minus 5. These two binomials go away, x plus 1 over x minus 5. Answer is choice 1. Which of the following of rational expressions would be undefined if x is 6? So essentially we're trying to find out what denominator is going to be. Actually, this might be worth showing you something on the calculator. Let's do that actually. Let's see. We're going to go to the calculator for this one. So I'm going to go into my y equals. Let me put the pen down first. That might be helpful. Let's go into y equals, right? Then I'm going to take that first fraction, and I need to put everything in parentheses. So the numerator in parentheses would be this, or is this, x squared minus 6x plus 1. I'm going to close that up. It's being divided by, in the denominator, parentheses, 2x minus 12. So the idea is it's saying, which of the following rational expressions would be undefined if x is 6? Well, let's go to the table of values. Let's go to 6. That must be the answer, because when x is 6, look at what happens. It doesn't work. Well, that was easy enough. I didn't have to do anything. I plugged it into the calculator. I guess I sort of got lucky that number 1 is the right answer. But here's really what ends up happening. Remember, undefined means the denominator can't be equal to 0. If I were to take that first denominator, 2x minus 12, set it equal to 0 and solve, if I add 12 to both sides, right, divide both sides by 2, that's exactly what they were asking you for. You would do that with every single equation to find out which one of those gives you x equals 6 when set equal to 0, and there's your answer. Let's see here. This next one, simplify. So I've got a minus 7 and a plus 7 by dots. I have a GCF and a minus 7. These by's go away. Final answer, x plus 7 divided by 2, and that looks like choice 2. Simplify the following expression. Up top is not IM because there's a GCF that has to come out first. So when 4 comes out, you're left with x squared plus 2x minus 3. If I factor that thing again, I'm left with 4. And now I can IM x plus 3, x minus 1. The denominator is a GCF, 2x minus 1. These guys go away. 4 divided by 2 is just 2. So the answer becomes 2 outside x plus 3. And this answer looks like it is choice 1. This is a multiplication problem. So you're going to factor where you can. This is a GCF. This is a GCF. 8x plus 2. Don't flip. It's a multiplication problem. This IM is x plus 5, x plus 2. The bottom is dots. Plus 5, minus 5. Plus 5s go away. Minus 5s go away. Plus 2s go away. The answer right here is 4/8. But to simplify that completely becomes a half, or choice 3. Okay. Let me extend this up a little bit. This happens to be a division, maybe hard to see. Keep, change, flip. First fraction is as is, x plus 1, x minus 1. Bottom of that fraction is IM, minus 6 plus 1. Multiply. The new numerator becomes the GCF of 3x around an x minus 6. The denominator, new denominator, becomes a GCF, 6x, with an x minus 1. Let's see here. -1 to -1, +1 to +1, -6 to -6. So you end up with 3x over 6x, which is just a half. Zuma. Both of the same answer. Alrighty. Number 16. Just old exponents. Numerator, 8 times 2, total out the x's. Denominator is here. 16 over 4 is just 4. More x's on top by 2, and you are done. Choice 3. Next one, simplest form. We're looking for a common denominator of 15x. Multiply by 3, multiply by 5, and then it becomes 18, take away 10, which becomes 8 over 15x. Choice 2. Number 18, we are dividing, so we've got to do a GCF for this first one because it's not a 1x squared, so it becomes 2 parentheses x squared minus 4x minus 21. Understand that actually can be factored again, so that's really factored completely. So 2 is the GCF, outside x minus 7, x plus 3. Denominator, nothing. 6x squared. Keep, change, flip. New numerator x, excuse me, x minus 3. New denominator, dots, minus 3 plus 3. X plus 3, x plus 3, x plus, or x minus x minus x. This I think was a quiz question before. I'm pretty sure that, or this was on somebody's 5-minute quiz. Numerator becomes 2x over x minus 7. Denominator becomes 6x squared. Well, 2 out of 6 is 1/3. More x's on the bottom with an x minus 7 up top. That looks like it would be choice number 1 because the 1 is almost irrelevant. So on the top, x minus 7. On the bottom, 3x. 18, 19. This is subtraction. We have common denominators, so we know we're over a 5x, but I want you to realize that this first numerator is that. You're subtracting it from this numerator. So if you are a keep, change, change person, you need to do that. By the way, this is all over 5x. So essentially, I have to distribute in my -1, which means this becomes a positive, negative, positive. Well, 2, right? 2 plus 2 is 4x plus negative x is 0. This becomes 4 over 5x, choice 3. This next one, this is solve. This is what we did today, but we've done this before. So in order to solve, I'm looking for me, I'm doing the do math. So I'm saying, what can I multiply by everything to clear all denominators at once? And that's a 4x. So 4x divided by 4 is x. X times 3 is 3. And then I've got an equal sign. 4x divided by 4x is 1, and 1 times that binomial is still that same binomial. It's a negative outside x plus 11. 4x divided by 2x is 2, and 1 times 2 is just 2. I need to distribute this negative. 3 equals negative 1x minus 11 plus 2. 3 equals negative 1x minus 9, right? I'm just combining like terms. If you need to add 9 to both sides, let me pause this for 1 second. I'm pausing. I thought that something wasn't right, and I did make a mistake. So maybe you saw my mistake already. If you didn't, I'm going to actually point it out to you. So 4x divided by 4 is just x, and x times 3 is 3x. Okay, so here's a little mistake. So let's get down to here. I'm going to erase what's happening over here. Okay, so make sure you got that. You might have noticed that and I didn't catch it until just now, so good thing we caught the mistake. So now it's 3x equals negative 1x plus 9. I can't add 9 to both sides. I need to add 1x to both sides. So when I add my 1x to both sides, I'm going to get 4x equal to negative 9. Divide both sides by 4, and x is just this fraction, negative 9/4. That happens to be choice 2. Okay, let me kind of get down here and sort of bump this thing up a little bit. We need to subtract this problem in 21. Common denominator is still 2x plus 6. And here I'm not going to keep change, but I am going to show you that when I do 2x and I subtract it by 3x, I'm going to get negative 1x. And then when I do 13 and I subtract it by negative 6, it really turns into plus positive. And what happens here is I get plus 19. So if I'm looking for the equivalent form, I can actually not factor my numerator, right? So negative x plus 19 is not factorable, but my denominator has a GCF of 2 with an x plus 3 left over, and that looks like it would be choice number 1. Okay. When we divide this trinomial by 4xy squared, you're dividing everything by 4xy squared. The key thing here is to realize that you've got that last term is a positive 1, right? So anything that doesn't have a 1 in it, you know you can get rid of. These guys are gone. Okay, so what happens is 24 divided by 4 is 6. There's more x's on top by 1, more y's on top by 4. That's also enough. You know it's going to have to be choice 2, but let's keep on going. Negative 16 divided by 4 is a minus 4. There's more x's on top by 5. The y's cancel. And then anything divided by itself is just 1. Next problem, I'm going to do math. I'm going to use 21 to clear all my denominators. Hopefully I get this one right. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 21 divided by 3 is 7. 7 times 2x, 14x. Equal to 21 divided by itself is 1. Multiplied by 15x minus 3 is just 15x minus 3. Here I've got a linear problem. There's no exponent of x squared. I'm going to subtract 14x from both sides, and I'm going to get 3 equal to x minus 3. Add 3 to both sides, and I'm going to get 6 equal to x, and that would be choice 1. What's the solution of the equation in 24? I'm going to cross multiply here, and when I do that, I'm going to get x times x plus 2 equal to 8, or x squared plus 2x equal to 8. It is a quadratic. It's an x squared. Set the equation equal to 0 by subtracting 8 from both sides. Factor this by I am. X plus 4, x minus 2 equal to 0. Set up your two equations and find out that x is negative 4 on that side, x is positive 2 on that side, and this looks like it's choice 2. Factor does not say solve, it just says factor. So this then becomes what's going to add to negative 1, but multiply to negative 6, and x minus 3, x plus 2. This is choice 1. Not quite halfway there. I'm already at 18 minutes. The roots of the quadratic equation are 4 and negative 5. Which quadratic equation has these roots? This is like basically saying the solutions, right? So if I were to drop walls between all of these and said all the factors equal to 0, well, the only way to get a positive 4 would be that x minus 4 would equal to 0. So x is 4. So this must be one of my roots, or one of my equations, I should say, one of my factors. To get a negative 5 to come out, must have been x plus 5 equal to 0, because when I subtract 5 on both sides, there it is. So right here, x minus 4 and x plus 5, those are the answers I'm looking for. That happens to be choice 1. What's the solution set? What are the roots, right? What are the zeros? With all the same stuff. Factor this thing into minus 5 plus 4 equal to 0. Drop your wall. Set up your two equations, and then solve each equation. So the answers are positive 5, negative 4, choice 1. Positive 5, negative 4. Word problem. Hooray! Let's see what we got going on here. Um, James is 4 years younger than Austin. Well, let's kind of set this up already. James is 4 years younger than Austin. X must be Austin. James is 4 years younger, 4 less than. There we go, x and x minus 4. If 3 times James' age is increased by the square of Austin's age, the result is 28. This should not be hard to set up. 3 times James. If 3 times James's age, 3 times parentheses x minus 4, is increased by the square of Austin's age, is increased by x squared, the result is 28. Well, let's see. When you distribute through, 3x minus 12 plus x squared equals 28. Remember, well, not remember, but it is a quadratic. We've got to set the equation equal to 0. I need to get this 28 to the opposite side. And not only do I have to get the 28 to the opposite side, I've got to make sure that I'm in a way that I can factor, which means we've always said to you, x squareds have to come first. Then x's. Well, the x's are positive 3x. And then without x, so negative 12 minus 28 becomes negative 40. This is what I'm going to IM, and this becomes x plus 8. That's an 8. X minus 5 equal to 0. Drop my wall. If x plus 8 equals 0, negative 8 comes out. If x minus 5 equals 0, positive 5 comes out. Well, I'm talking about somebody's age. I can't have somebody be a negative age, right? So x is 5. Who's 5? 5 is Austin. Austin is 5. Who's James? James is x minus 4. So 5 minus 4, James is 1. Another word problem. Good stuff. Use an algebraic solution to find 2 consecutive negative integers, consecutive, one after the other. We're looking for negative at the final end, whose product is 42. Well, x is our first integer, consecutive, one right after the other. X plus 1 is the second. It's the product to multiply. First number times second number has to be 42. When I multiply through, x squared plus 1x equals 42. It's a quadratic. Set this thing equal to 0. X squared plus 1x minus 42. What's going to multiply to negative 42 but add to positive 1? X plus 7, x minus 6. Drop your wall. When I set the two factors equal to 0 and I solve, I get a positive 7. Nope, no I don't. I get a positive 6 and a negative 7. It wants the negative integers. Well, that means the first integer was negative 7. When I add 1 to that for the next consecutive integer, I get negative 6. And yes, negative 7 is smaller than negative 6. Whew, okay, solve for the positive value. Alrighty, I got a GCF. I'm going to pull my 6 out. X squared minus 9 equal to 0. Inside the parentheses is dots. Minus 3 plus 3 equal to 0. I've got 3 factors, but only 2 of them have variables. X minus 3 equal to 0. Add 3 to both sides. X is 3. Take this factor, x plus 3 equal to 0. Subtract 3 from both sides. X is negative 3. It only wants a positive value. I probably didn't even have to do the other one, but we did. We want to write this 9 minus y squared dots as a product of 2 binomials, 3 minus y, 3 plus y. Remember, whatever comes first has to stay first. Choice 1. What's the greatest common factor? Well, what number divides evenly into both? 6. But is it more than just 6? And it sure is. We've got some variables here. So 6 divides into all of them. They all share 1a. They all share 1b. C's they don't share. We're looking for common factor, not least common denominator. 6ab, choice 2. Solve for x. Hopefully you realize that x plus 1 squared just means that. When I FOIL it, x squared plus 1x plus 1x plus 1. Distribute. Plus 3x minus 12 equals. Distribute. X squared minus 1x plus 1. Let's combine some like terms. On the left-hand side, I just have x squared. X is 1 plus 1 plus 3. X is plus 5x. without x, 1 minus 12 minus 11 equal to x squared minus 1x plus 1. Well, it's a quadratic. I've got x squareds, but they're the same on either side. In other words, if I try to bring all the x squareds to left or to right, the x squareds are going to cancel. These are going to cancel each other out, and they go away. So what happens is I end up with 5x minus 11 equals negative 1x plus 1. I'm going to solve this equation. It's not a quadratic, it's just a plain old linear. I'm going to add 1x to both sides. 6x minus 11 equals 1. I'm going to add 11 to both sides. 6x equals 12. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. X equals 2. X equals 2. Okay. 34. Find the positive root. So I've got to have a positive answer. Set the equation equal to 0. Subtract 8 on both sides. I am it. X minus 4, x plus 2 equal to 0. I know that this guy on the left is going to give me the positive root. I'm going to skip the equation for now. I know x is going to come out to be 4. I'm not even worried about the right. Factor completely. Well, I've got a GCF. I've got a 2. What's left over? A squared plus 1a minus 42. Well, what's going to multiply to negative 42 but add to positive 1? Positive 7, negative 6. Factor completely. Choice 4. Factor completely again. By the way, these are not solves. There's no equal sign. I don't need to drop any walls. Factor is factor. Solve is solve. Like 34, find the positive root. That's really the same thing as solve. By the way, there's an equal sign. There's no equal sign in these factor completelys. Do not try to solve for anything. GCF 2, x squared minus 9, dots 2, x minus 3, x plus 3. This is choice 3. Factor completely. One more time. There's no equation. Don't solve a darn thing. We're going to pull out the GCF. 3 x squared minus 5x minus 42. Didn't we just, oh no, not 42. So we just did something like that. Minus 14. Sorry about that. So what's going to multiply to negative 5 but add to negative 14? Did I say that wrong? What's going to add to negative 5 but multiply to negative 14? I think I'm getting a little delirious now. So I've got 3 times the quantity of x minus 7 and x plus 2. Choice 3. Okay. 38. Find the positive value. This is a solving. There's a equal sign. Cross multiply. We have a proportion. 3a equals a plus 4 times a minus 1. Now I'm going to move a little bit fast on this one, so hopefully you're going to be able to follow. 3a equals a squared plus 3a minus 4. I just foiled, but I'm able to do that in my head. It's a quadratic. Set the equation equal to 0. See if you can follow this. If I bring this 3a over to this side, I must do so by subtraction, which means I'm left with the 0 over here. And 3a on the right minus 3a coming over from the left is 0. This becomes a squared minus 4. We like to see the equal to 0 on the right. I can do that, right? There's no reason why I can't put the equal sign and change this around and put the equal to 0 over here. Doesn't change the fact that I still have to do dots. A minus 2, a plus 2, a minus 2 is 0, a equals 2, a plus 2 is 0, a equals negative 2. They only want the positive value. Goodbye negative, hello positive. By the way, you could have crossed that out from the very beginning. By the way, you could have crossed this out too, right? Because is 0 positive? No. Is 0 negative? No. 0 is just a placeholder. It is the loneliest number. Factored form. This is dots. 2a minus 3b. 2a plus 3b. This looks like it's choice 2. Word problem. Love them. Javon's homework is to determine the dimensions of his rectangular backyard. He knows that the length is 10 feet more than the width, and the area is 144. We know nothing about the length, or the least about the length. I'm sorry, nothing about the width. Let's try that again. That's x. Your length is x plus 10. Your total area is 144. To find the area of any rectangle, you multiply your length and your width together. So x times x plus 10 is 144. Distribute. Set the equation equal to 0. Minus 144. I'm not really quite sure what that's going to be. I'm going to go for a little bit of help here. I'm going to go on to y equals, and I'm going to say what's going to multiply to negative 144. So negative 144 divided by x. I need to add to a 10. That's not going to work. I want to add to a positive 10. So I'm going to want my bigger number, or my smaller number to be negative. Let's see. No, 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 no. Ah, there it is. Negative 8 times 18. Who would have thunk that negative 8 times 18 was negative 144? And they happen to add to 10. So what happens here is I've got my x plus 18, my x minus 10, drop my wall. I'm going to skip right now the equations because I know the left-hand factor is going to give me a negative 18 when I set the equation equal to 0 to solve. My right-hand side is going to give me 10. I'm dealing with measurement. I can't have any negative numbers for measurement, so my width happens to be 10. That's not true, is it? No, my width, yeah, that's true. Wait, hold on. Oh, look what I did. I'm getting all crazy over here. It wasn't 18 and 10. It was 18 and 8. Okay, so it was 18 and 8. Let's try this again. Okay, 18 and 8. I'm sure half of you guys out there watching said, that's not right. So the width is 8, and the length is 10 plus 8, or 18. Okay, sorry. Curious to find out who caught this mistake and is going to come in and let me know, and that's just fine. Okay, at least I'm catching the mistakes. That's always a good thing. This guy, the brothers, 3 of them, consecutive evens, which means the first brother is X, the second brother is 2 years older, who knows how old that is, and the third brother is 2 years older than him or 4 years older than the first. That's the third guy. It says that the 3 consecutive, or the 3 brothers, the product of the first and the third is 20 more than twice the second. The product of the first brother and the third brother, right? The multiplication between them is 20 more than 20 plus twice the second brother. Okay, not a big deal. Distribute x squared plus 4x equals 20. Distribute 2x plus 4. Essentially, I'm going to do all this stuff at once. Make sure you can follow. It's a quadratic. It has to be equal to 0. This is going to come over to this side, right? This combo of 24 is going to come over to this side. Now we're trying to get a little bit fancy. Hopefully you're following along. So I've got x squared plus 2x minus 24 equal to 0. How do I factor that? X plus 6, x minus 4 equal to 0. When I set each factor equal to 0 and I solve, I get 4 and I get negative 6. We're talking about ages. Ages can never be negative. 4, first brother, he must be 4. Consecutive even integers, followed by 6, followed by 8. What's the common factor 42? Well, you got to factor them first. This is dots, x minus 3, x plus 3. The I am is going to be x minus 3 and x minus 2. Well, don't they share the same parentheses? They do. They both share that one, choice 2. Factor completely. GCF, pull out a 3. X squared plus 5x minus 14. I am inside the parenthesis. X plus 7. X minus 2, choice 3. Which equation is the line of symmetry? Remember, line of symmetry is what the axis of symmetry is, or what the x is. Anything that has a y, forget it. If I want to draw a line down this vertex, which is right here. The x-coordinate of my vertex is 3. The vertex, I'm just going to forget that. I'm not even going to write the vertex. The x-coordinate of my vertex is 3, so the axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Number 45. I have to actually graph this thing on the graphing calculator because that's the only way I'm going to be able to figure it out. So find the equation for the axis of symmetry. I'm going to go to my y equals. I'm going to clear out what I have. I'm going to type this in. Hopefully realize this thing is going to open down. Anybody know why? Come and tell me tomorrow. Negative x squared minus 8x plus 10. When I graph this thing, I'm looking for the vertex. Can't quite see the vertex. I get that. And it looks like it would have to be somewhere over in this quadrant 2, right? Because it's got to go somewhere like this. Before I actually try to find it, let me see if I can sort of, oh, actually, can't. I'm looking, this is multiple choice. It's not. Okay, so we can't actually do it as a multiple choice. Not a big deal, but it is somewhere over in that quadrant 2. So let's try to find the vertex, because once we know what the vertex is, then we know what the axis of symmetry equation is. Let's go to the table of values. We talked about trying to line up the top and the bottom x values. So we haven't done that, but you know what? It looks like right here must be the turnaround point, because on either side of that is 25 to 25 and then 22 to 22. So that should be enough to tell you your vertex is negative 4 comma 26. Let's go back to this for a second. The vertex is negative 4 comma 26. But the axis of symmetry is what the x is. Well, the x is equal to negative 4. There's your answer. This one's going to have to go on the calculator also, right? This one says find the turning point and the axis of symmetry. Well, I know axis of symmetry can never be a y equals, so that's goodbye. Let's see. Graphing calculator. I'm going to clear out. First, let me erase my markings. Okay. Let's go to y equals. I'm going to clear out what I have here, and then what goes in is x squared. And this actually carries on to the next line, so be careful. It's x squared minus 4x, and if you kind of keep looking, it's plus 8. So x squared minus 4x plus 8, I'm going to graph this thing. This you can actually see. We should be able to almost kind of see what the vertex is on our own. It looks like I'm going to go over 2, up 4. That's my guess, over 2, up 4. I will double check on the calculator though, because we want to be safe. So let me find where positive 2 is and see if that really does do a turnaround. Yeah, it does, right? So I didn't line it up completely. I'll just go down twice more. So right here is my turnaround point, right? Because 5 to 5, 8 to 8. So we were right. It is x equals, or the vertex is 2 comma 4. So my vertex then is 2 comma 4. No, no. And there you go. Process of elimination. It's going to have to be that one. Plus, anyway, the x is 2. 47. Find the turning point. Find the turning point of the quadratic equation, y equals 3x squared plus 6x minus 2, and so whether it's a max or a min. Well, you should know that it opens up. Anything that opens up has to be a min, which means these are gone. We're going to graph it anyway. Let me go to y equals, graphing calculator, y equals, get rid of this. What am I putting in here? Clear it out. 3x squared plus 6x minus 2. Graph it. Hopefully we see the vertex. We do. I think we have enough information to realize that if you're in quadrant 3, right, this is quadrant 3 where x is negative and y is negative. That's enough information when I go back to my choices here. Quadrant 3, the vertex has to be negative, negative, and it's a minimum. It opened up. On this guy, we're looking for the vertex and the axis of symmetry. Well, the vertex is right here. This would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 at 2, negative 2, negative 3. X equals negative 2. This is choice 1. Next one, 49. Swim team member performs a dive from a 14-foot high springboard. The parabola below shows the path of her dive, which equation represents the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line that goes through the x value of 3. Here's your answer. What are the roots of the equation? That's basically solve, right? So if I IM this, it becomes x minus 6 and x minus 1 equal to 0. X minus 6 equals 0. Add 6 on both sides. X minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 on both sides. The roots are positive 1, positive 6. We're coming to the last page, and we're making it under 45 minutes. Not too bad. When 36, word problem. When 36 is subtracted from the square of a number, the result is 5 times that number. So basically, when I've got a number that's squared, when 36 is subtracted from the square of a number, x equals the number, by the way, the result is 5 times the number. This is a quadratic. Set the equation equal to 0. Bring the 5x to the left by subtraction. I am it. Minus 9 plus 4 equal to 0. X is 9. X plus 4 is equal to 0. X is negative 4. We're looking for the positive solution. We want the 9, choice 1. What are the roots here? I feel like we factored this thing before. No, I don't know. X minus 3, x minus 2 equal to 0. Drop your wall. Set the equations or the factors equal to 0. You get 3 on that side. Get 2 on that side. Choice 2. What's the vertex of the parabola? Looks like we're going to have to graph this thing. Go to the graphing calculator. Let's erase any work. Now it's a rush to get this thing under 45 minutes. I think we can. I think we can. Let's try this. Clear it out. Negative 2x squared plus 24x. Oh, shoot. Don't do that. Oh, man. Let me just clear this out. Getting all excited here. Clear. Just clear the whole thing. Negative 2x squared plus 24x plus 24x. Got it. Minus 100. What am I looking to do? The vertex. Graph it. Well, choice 1 and 2 don't even make sense. So it's going to be 3 or 4. So am I at 6? I can't even see my graph. That stinks. Okay, well, let's see if we can go to the table of values and try to figure it out. It's got to be choice 3 or choice 4. So all we need to do is go to either negative 6 and see if we have a turnaround point on either side. So if negative 6, right? If negative 6 was what my choice is, I don't have a turnaround point on either side, right? They're not the same. So that wouldn't make any sense. So let's go to positive 6. And let's see what happens there. Nope, not low enough. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, hold on, went too low. There we go, right? That has to be the vertex because on either side of negative 6, of positive 6, negative 28, we've got a symmetrical piece. So let's go back. Let's say it's going to have to be, which this is kind of dumb. It's going to be this one, 6, negative 28. Drop this thing. The graph of a parabola is represented by y equals ax squared, where a is a positive integer. If a is multiplied by 2, the new parabola will become. Well, we got to plug some stuff into the calculator here and see what happens. So let's just do this. Let's go to the graphing calculator and make y equals a, let's make a equal 1. So go to y equals, clear out what you have. So we've got here y equals x squared. Let's just graph this parabola. This is just the original, right? Because the question says, what happens when you multiply the coefficient a by 2? So now instead of having y equals 1x squared, we're going to go to y equals. We're going to go to y equals. Leave that where it is. And now we're going to multiply it by 2. So let's see what happens when now the graph is 2x squared. The first graph you're going to see is the original one. The second graph you see is the new one. It went inside. It got more narrow. It still opens up, but it got more narrow. So what happens is it's choice 2. It's going to be narrower and open upward. Last but not least, 30 seconds to go. Which coordinate does the which quadrant does the coordinate lie in? So go back to y equals, clear out. clear out, come on up. X squared, I don't think I'm going to make it. X squared plus 8x plus 10 plus 8x plus 10. Let's graph it and let's figure out which quadrant this thing lies in. Quadrant 3 right here. I think we just did it. Quadrant 3, choice 3. Time is up. All right, we did it. Have a good rest of your night. Bye.